And welcome back to the Survivor Girl podcast, everybody. My name is Heather. I am here with my lovely co-host Becky,
Hey, everyone.
who is rocking a new hairdo, and it looks freaking fabulous.
Well, you know, I did a thing.
I love it. Yeah, she messages, I did a thing. I'm like, wait, what?
See, this is what happens when you guys go out to the Ren Fair and you leave me all by myself, unsupervised. I do wild and crazy things.
Well, I mean, it looks good, so I'm not
Well,
sorry.
thank
sorry, not
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I think we
Awesome.
may have to update the profile picture.
I think we might have to.
Yeah,
It's
because, you know,
different.
I have gone to blonde.
You
So,
have gone to blonde.
I
and Are you
have.
thinking about sticking around, keeping it?
Oh, no, there's phase 2.
Oh, there's a phase 2. All
There's
right,
a
there
phase
usually is a
2.
phase 2 to
Oh,
every
yeah.
plan.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So we're glad to have you guys joining us on a Father's Day. So we just want to
Yes.
extend that out to everybody who is listening. I know we have gentlemen that listen, so happy Father's Day if you're a father. And tonight we have with us in studio Tony Bradley, who is our producer and also one of my co-hosts on the Don't Make This Weird podcast. We're hosts, and he's the engineer and all that fun jazz. So he wears many hats, this man.
Yeah, and I still hate those guys.
I'm one of those guys. We say this.
I know you say this all the time, but I still hate those guys. They
But we-
make me do stuff for them. I mean, come on.
I know. But before we get into that, Becky has a disclaimer. Just so you
Yes.
guys are probably aware of this by now. But if you're
Yeah.
just joining us tonight for the first time,
Yes.
go ahead and let everybody know.
We are not doctors, therapists, counselors, or trained medical professionals. We are not here to treat, diagnose, or prescribe any means of treatment, and we are here to share what we have been through and overcome in the hopes to inspire and empower others.
Right. So we are not able to help diagnose or to help any, with anything like that. However, Becky and I are in training for life coaching.
Yes, we are.
And Tony is further than we are with the certificates,
Yes.
I think.
Yes,
So he is
yes.
also into the life coaching.
Yes.
And myself, I am trained in mental first aid. So I'm able
Yes.
to help people get the help that they need to. So with that being said, that is why our LLC has come about, and
Yes.
it is
Survive to Thrive.
Survive to Thrive. So
LLC.
LLC.
Yes.
That is the new nonprofit that we're doing, and we're just trying to reach out to as many people as we possibly can to help in any way that we can. I mean, we're survivors. We've gotten second chances, and what better way to do that than to be grateful for your second chance than to be able
Yes.
to pass it forward and help out as
Yeah.
many as you can. So we appreciate you tuning in and listening and sharing. I mean, we've had so many people share all of the podcast and everything else, and we just want to thank everybody for boosting us out there. We've got a lot of stuff coming on, a lot of
Yes.
stuff happening. One of the big things we have happening is next weekend.
Yes.
Oh my
A week from
gosh.
tonight, actually.
A week from tonight. It'll be on a Sunday, June
Yes.
23rd. We will be at the Leading Ladies Music Festival,
Mhm.
and that is going to be in Birch Run at the
Frankenmuth Credit Union Event Center.
I'm so used to saying the
Birch Run
yes.
Expo Center.
Mhm. So if you know
Yes.
where that's at, that's where
Yes.
it is.
Yes, it's the Frankenmuth Credit Union Event Center.
Yeah. So if you guys can share that, there's going to be 6 bands going to be there.
Yes.
And tickets are only $10. There is
Yes.
going to be Sailor Mouth Yoga, a speed dating,
Mhm.
a cigar lounge, all of those bands.
Sounds like all kinds of fun
vendors.
stuff. Yes.
Oh yeah, all kinds of really cool stuff
Yeah.
happening. And portion of the proceeds go to
There are 3 nonprofits: YWCA of Greater Flint,
Mhm.
the Underground Railroad, and Survive to Thrive LLC.
Yeah, so we're going to be able to get some of the proceeds along with those other great nonprofits.
Yes.
So we appreciate all of that from the Leading Ladies, and we were allowed to sponsor them
Yes.
by getting a sponsor. So we want to thank
Yeah.
the sponsors that we've had.
Yes.
We had Stone Cottage Farm donate for the baskets that we're making, along with
Yes.
Jan Vincent McKee. She is bringing us one of her books, signed copy
Yes.
book of her ULA journey, my ULA journey,
Mhm.
and also Color Street Nails.
Mhm.
and some Young Living. I don't know what she's putting in there,
I
but
have
some
no
some good
idea, but
stuff.
she's got, Jan, she's
Oh,
got
yeah.
good stuff.
Yes, Dig Cafe is giving us a certificate, and also
Cool.
we've got so many different things.
Aren't there supposed to be tickets for Tuscola Palooza as
There
well?
are going to be tickets in there for Tuscola Palooza,
Yeah.
you guys. That's going to be August 10th, and that's going to be on Rossman Road outside of Cairo, and that's going to be a 10-band show.
Yes.
So, and tickets
again,
are
the tickets are $10,
$10,
so it's $1 a band.
and it is a good cause. It's for the Child Advocacy Center of Tuscola County. So
Yeah.
that is another great thing that we're able to be a part of. I'll be out there with the Don't Make This Weird crew. I believe Becky's going to come hang out with us out there. Stop in at our booth. We'll have Roxanne from Highly Offensive Hoodies and the Uplift Creative Center, who they're going to be out with us at the event this weekend coming up. So come and check it out. We started the Renaissance Festival weekend out at Mid Michigan, and that was a lot of fun. And got getting the word out there too. Talked to a lot of different people about the Survivor Girl podcast. Talked to an author today that wants to come join us. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I met with a lady that was she did the 3-day for breast cancer walk, and she has a nonprofit, and she's been working through that. Unfortunately, she said, because of like the Susan Coleman thing and all the other things that were kind of questionable about where money was going, that it's kind of dwindled down, unfortunately. So she said to reach out to her and work through what we're working with. So we're able to hopefully help more people. Then we're just going to keep on continue putting that out there and just continue to work and help people. And also want to give a shout out to Corky's Dream.
Yes.
Corky's Dream is a nonprofit. They're building a women's shelter and an animal shelter. So when women and children are able to come in to get help, they can also bring their animal with them. So
they don't have to leave the animal behind.
Yes, and that is something that is just huge. I mean, you already have to move away and do things, get away from what you are in. You don't want to have to leave behind your animals as well.
Right, exactly.
So
I was going to say, in that fundraiser, what day is that one again?
It is October 8th, and I believe the time is at 6 p.m.
Okay.
It's going to have raffles. There's going to be
something about cheesecakes and raffling the desserts off at the tables or something.
Yep, whatever table you sit at and there's dessert at it, you can bid on that dessert.
If you want that dessert for your dessert, then you need to bid.
Yes.
So
I think
it's going to be a dessert auction or something.
Dessert auction. The band 3OF is going to be playing. And I'm also going to be public speaking, and we're going to be there. We're going to be hanging out there.
We are.
So we would love to meet you guys and see you guys in person. So that's going to be on October 8th, and I'm going to double check on the time. As far as I remember, it's at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
and I'll get the directions
share
and
the
all
information and stuff when we get that.
Yep. So we have, like I said, we got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff that we're supporting and trying to keep in the groove here. We've got Crystal Fay. We've got things coming up with her.
Yes, we do.
So stay tuned, guys, because we're going to have another announcement happening here.
I was going to say, and we're co-hosting that 4th of July party with those guys.
There is an open invite for the 4th of July party. So you guys check out that. It's on our Facebook pages. And all the information is there. We're going to have a good time.
Are we also helping co-host that 100th episode thing too?
Well, I'm part of the 100, but I don't know.
You are, but am I going to be part of that?
If you're here, I'm sure you're going to be here. That's going to have a good time
with those guys, man.
Right. Of course, those guys. And one more thing before we get started, I want to reach out and thank everybody from the street team.
Yes.
Everybody that's behind the team, behind the scenes,
kicking butt and taking names.
Yes.
And we are grateful.
We're definitely grateful from the bottom of our hearts that we appreciate you guys so very much for liking and sharing and putting the word out there of what we're doing. Without you guys, we wouldn't be boosted as far as we are right now.
I was going to say, and we have
our listeners.
We have to get 1,000 likes by, what is it? July 6th.
July 16th. Where somebody asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I said I would like to see Survivor Girl get 1,000 likes.
Yeah.
So that is my birthday wish. We're already like at 600, I think, or something. So that is definitely my birthday wish. So
yeah.
So I can see it happening.
we were at 572
I think so. We're
or
yeah.
3, somewhere around there.
so not too bad, guys. I think we
Yeah.
can make it happen.
I think so. That's not very many.
No,
No.
not at all. So if you guys
Less
share
than 500 likes.
yeah,
we
I think
got
we can do
this.
it.
So,
So we appreciate that, guys. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for boosting us up and
so
getting
please
us
continue to invite
Yeah.
and like and share
and subscribe on the YouTube channel.
yes, hit that notification
Watch
bell.
my goofy videos on
Yes,
TikTok
your
because
goofy videos
I'm
on
addicted.
TikTok.
It's retarded, ridiculous. Sorry, that's a bad word. I'm so sorry. That's live. Okay, moving on. Just kidding. No, TikTok is a good thing. It's fun. I got out a video for Survivor Girl and everything. So anyway.
And you touched basically that it's Father's Day today.
Yeah.
So if I'm seeming a little out of sorts,
It's
because
day.
it's a rough day for me. It's my
Yeah.
first Father's Day without my father. So
yeah. So we're giving hugs and prayers, putting them up
yes.
for you.
Yes, thank you.
So thank you for still being here and doing the show today. I can't imagine how.
I don't back down.
You don't.
No,
You don't. I'm thankful for that. That's my co-host. That's right, girl.
Yeah.
So
I'm tenacious like that.
So we're gonna without further ado, we're gonna get into talking with our guest, and he's gonna share his story. And you know, I'm thankful that we have men that are listeners. We have quite a few that are listeners, and it's awesome because Survivor Girl is not just for women; it's for everybody.
It is.
Men go through just as much stuff as we do, if not more. I mean, it can go hand in hand either way.
Yeah.
We all go through something, and part of Survivor Girl is to make sure that people don't feel that they're alone.
Yes.
And that's men, women, children, everybody.
Exactly. Yes. So, and if we can inspire at least one other person,
yeah,
or if somebody else can identify with what somebody has shared,
yeah,
then we've done our job. So,
and that's exactly what we wanted to do with Survivor Girl podcast. Yes. So without further ado, thank you, Joni
Mitchell. Huh?
Oh my goodness. First and foremost.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
Long weekend.
Wow. With an introduction like that, how can I not trip over my words here?
Right. Glad you could join us.
Yes. Thank you guys
Tony.
For letting me come on the show. Wow. This is crazy. The first guy host on this show. No pressure, don't screw it up.
No, don't. I mean, first and foremost, you can, because I already have several times. Right. Thank you guys for still staying and hanging out.
Wow.
And happy Father's Day to you. We know that you have children that are regrettably absent today.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. Life happens. And I mean, I guess that's, we'll kick the story off there. Yeah. I've been a single father for the better part of 19 years.
Yeah.
And it's been quite a journey because I became a single father back when it was uncool.
Yeah.
And, I was like, whatever, don't care. I'm going to raise my children to the best of my ability, even though I had no idea what was going on. I mean, my oldest daughter was born and, got to cut the umbilical cord and help clean her up with the little baby station there after they're born. And the doctor put her into my arms, wrapped up all in the blanket. And the first thought in my head was, can we swear on the show?
I kind of already started that out, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Well, I'm asking because I'm trying to be respectful for the listeners here.
I mean,
sometimes
we're human.
Sometimes it comes out.
We're human.
Yeah, we're human.
I don't expect anybody to be perfect, for sure.
Well, the first thought in my head was, well, shit.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for a tiny human, and I'm not even responsible for myself.
Right.
I was 24 when I had my daughter. Well, I didn't have her, but my ex-wife
you had a
did.
hand in having her.
Yeah, I contributed 50% of the DNA.
Jeremy's joining us. He says, stop your cussing.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Hey, Jeremy.
Oh, man.
In stereo, we're available.
We are on tonight.
Oh, boy.
Thank you for joining us, Jeremy.
Going to be an
shout out.
Night.
So, taking that journey, and then, my son was born 2 years later. Only boy I had. And then 2 years after that, my youngest daughter was born. So it's been quite a challenge because I haven't had I don't know, how do I want to word this? The most ideal relationship with my exes. Some days are better, some days are worse, but you do what you can because it's not about what you go through as a parent. It's about what they don't go through
Right.
because you've given them the tools and you've given them the opportunities to navigate adulthood better than you.
Right.
And that's been my biggest struggle because coming from, a huge history of abuse, neglect, abandonment. Thankfully, some family members stepped up. My grandmother, she earned her sainthood because of me. I think single-handedly. But yeah, it was really challenging growing up. And I mean, let me step back for a minute. I was 10 and, ripe old age of 10, maturity, already, dealt with all the adult stuff by the age of 10.
Wow.
But no, my parents split because my father said, "Sorry, kid, you're not a priority. Womanizing is." And my mother said, "Yeah, sorry, kid, you're not a priority. My job is." And my grandmother, who was from the old-fashioned generation, and I say that respectfully, was the one that stepped up. And she ruled with a cast iron fist and loved me twice as hard. So it made it interesting because that safety net of having both parents was gone, immediately ripped from me because I wasn't a priority.
Right.
And, there's more stuff prior to that wasn't a priority. But like I said, years of abuse and neglect and so on and so forth made it really difficult because everything you knew that was safe and sure-footed with the illusion of a safety net because your parents, no, that was okay. Well, hey, sorry about your luck, kid, but your grandmother's raising you now.
Yeah.
So for the next few years, my grandmother raised me, and I hated the world at that point in time because everything I knew to be honest and pure and supposed to be protecting me wanted nothing to do with me.
Right.
They were there. I mean, not so much my father because he pretty much abandoned me, but whatever. It is what it is. You grow, you change, you mature, and I think by the time I was 16, when I was kicked out of my own home, I was like, okay, cool. So I see we're arrayed, and I can navigate adulthood because now realizing, because this is 6 years later, that I'm more mentally and emotionally capable of raising children myself, and that my parents never would be. And here I am, 42 now, so it makes it even more interesting because I talk to single parents, I talk to parents that have been married for years, and they're like, "How do you do it?" I'm like, "Well, joke's on you. I have no clue because I'm making it up day by day."
Right.
So yeah, it's been an interesting journey to come from less than nothing to literally my dream was clawing and fighting and scratching and just refusing to play the victim and refusing to give up, which brings me to an event that's never easy for me to talk about in my life, but everyone that knows me, because I believe in integrity, because I believe in knowing the company you keep, because I believe in hearing it directly from the source, is what I'm going to talk about next.
Right.
So give me a minute. I need to get a drink of water. My throat's a
go
little
for it.
dry. So
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Yeah,
We
it
know
is.
with being on Mike and the day that we've had out at Renfest, it's
I
like
was gonna say, and
definitely need a drink.
talking about things that hit the emotions so hard. It's never easy. So
well, it's honestly working up to this day. I'm not gonna lie, it was putting me completely sideways, and plus, all of the stuff that we collectively do. It's been a very interesting challenge to navigate from the business side of it, from the family side of it, from the tribe side of it, from, you know, the friend side of it, and, you know, all of this stuff. And you really don't know who's in your corner until you go through some serious stuff.
That is true.
And, you know, for the past 22 years, there's been a lot of that for me because, you know, I was raised Christian, and, you know, I walked away from it for about 10 years, came back courtesy of, shout out to Jeremy. Thank you, brother, for helping me through some very difficult times in my life. But
and speaking of Jeremy, he says, you got this, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But no, so back in 1997, I had about enough of Michigan. So I decided to get a change of scenery. So I bought a $500 piece of junk van with my rhythm guitar player and his girlfriend.
No ticket for an aeroplane?
No ticket for an aeroplane.
Sorry.
So we decided to drive out to Las Vegas because I figured the farther away from Michigan, the better the scenery is going to be, right?
Right.
And why not Las Vegas?
Right. Somewhere else to just to go and kind of just
start
you
over.
know,
right.
You know,
I've
there's
never
that whole
been.
stigma of Vegas. What happens there stays there.
Right.
Contrary to popular belief, you
It
can make
does
an
not.
honest living in Las Vegas.
Right.
So I moved out there in February, I think it was. It's like the second or third, I can't remember. So I'm out there February, March, April, May, June-ish, I think it was. And I had a call from my father. Well, knowing some of the backstory of how my father was, he said, "Hey, you got a warrant for your arrest back here." I said, "I've been gone for almost 6 months." Arrest for what? Because, you know, I'm 20 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm still putting my life together and figuring things out and doing things that I need to do.
And in that 6 months while you were out there, did you just turn 20?
No, I was actually venturing into my 21st birthday.
Gotcha.
So, you know, trying to wrap your head around the life and still obviously wet behind the ears, not having a clue. I was 20.
Right.
You know, everybody's like, "Oh, you graduate high school, go to college, get a job, career, da 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 da." And, you know, from my generation, if you weren't married off with at least 3 kids, by the time you were 20, you were considered an old hag and you forget it, you know.
Jeez.
Oh, gee, thanks, Tony.
I'm just saying that was
That
the
was the
standard
stigma.
in practice
Right.
back then.
It
So-
really seems like it's a long time ago when you say it that way, but it's really not.
So I guess that means I'm a crazy cat lady.
No.
I'm just trying to follow along here.
right.
Keep in mind, I was raised by my grandmother.
Right.
Right. I
And they
understand.
married
Yeah.
young. They married their sweetheart. It was
Right.
like their
Yes.
6-year-old sweetheart. You know, when they were
Yeah.
6 years old, they fell in love. Blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, well, since my grandmother raised me to be honest and be, you know, full of integrity, I was like, fine, I'll come back to Michigan and I'll figure this out. You know, what's the worst that could possibly happen? It was a speeding ticket that I never paid or something along those lines. Mind you, I had never been in trouble with the law
Right.
other than a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
So to have this come across my radar after, you know, I was holding down a full-time job.
Yeah.
Gigging 6 nights out of the week on the strip in Las Vegas. You know, it's not an easy feat
No,
for any musician.
it's not small potatoes.
Especially at that age.
Right.
Especially at
20
that
years
age.
old,
Yeah.
1997
Yeah.
in Las Vegas, gigging on the strip, gigging off the strip, doing session work for some very reputable, you know, record companies. I just got lucky in being at the right place at the right time. So I was really starting to figure things out in life and going, this is great. I'm loving this. You know, I'm single. I don't have any responsibilities myself, and I'm starting to get my stuff together and realizing some of the things that my grandfather talked about of what it means to become a man. Started realizing some of the things that my grandmother was saying of, you're going to be the man of the house today, and you have to systematically put your life together and give women security. And when you marry them and you have kids and all these other things. So I was raised with a very high family man standard.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't meet that, I was not a success.
Right.
You know, I had failed to contribute to society in general.
Mm-hmm.
I missed a step and I have to go back and recreate that. So, long story longer, I get back to Michigan, go to my dad's house because he offered to pick me up at the airport, and went and turned myself in to the state police post.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I'm here. There's a warrant for my arrest. I'm not sure what it is. I'm turning myself in
Right.
so I can get this figured out.
Mm-hmm.
So at the state police post, I stayed for 72 hours in a holding cell.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know what I was being charged with. Okay. Then they shipped me over to the sheriff's department, where I stayed roughly, I think, another 14 days. Still not know what I was being charged with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think it was like the 2 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks, which was like a Monday coming up. I go in front of the judge, Judge Jocelyn.
Yeah, that's a big name around this part.
Yeah.
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 Well, according to him, my family name wasn't the greatest at that point in time.
Mm.
So I go in front of him. No attorney at that point in time. I was still being charged, or the charges were being presented
Right.
to me. So I'm standing there. Like I said, I'd never been in trouble. Always adhered to the law. Maybe got a speeding ticket, if that. So when the judge handed down what I was being charged with, I pretty much almost passed out, because everything just kind of went tunnel vision.
Right.
And what I was being charged with was 15 counts of CSC in the first degree. Now, for your listeners, I don't know how well they're versed in criminal law, but what CSC stands for is criminal sexual conduct. And what the first degree is, and they've changed some of the laws, so I'm still trying to familiarize myself with some of this.
Mm-hmm.
But it was basically walking around and raping people, little kids, you know, guys, women, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. When you hear those words, your brain automatically gravitates to of assuming the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was at that time. I was 20. I was still naive. But when they handed down what each one of these charges carried as an imprisonment for a sentence was 25 to life.
Wow.
That's when I just went, okay, well, so much for the speeding ticket idea.
Right.
So, and I still don't know how it all got worked out. I think it had a lot to do with my grandmother, but I was bonded out.
Mm-hmm.
3 days later, I think it was. So I was on the hunt for a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, I didn't know what any of this stuff was at that point in time.
Right.
I was,
You only knew that you were in Vegas and you.
right.
Yeah.
Doing the responsible thing, coming back and taking care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I know, I'm looking at 15 consecutive life sentences. And I'm going, did I miss something here? I was just in Las Vegas getting my adult life together according to my grandparents' standards.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So found a lawyer. Come to find out that this lawyer was actually drinking buddies with the judge.
Oh, boy.
So, and the illusion that the lawyer gave me was, oh, yeah, I know Jocelyn. We're good. I'll talk to him. I'll talk to the prosecuting attorney. Everything will be great.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get a slap on the wrist, maybe probation. Like, but I didn't do anything. I don't even know what these charges for, let alone who they're being charged against. And I didn't do anything.
Right. This is something you did not do.
Right. Why am I being charged with something I didn't do? I was 2,600 miles away getting my adult life together.
Mm-hmm.
So come to find out after sitting down and talking with my lawyer, because like I said, up to this point, I still did not know why I was being charged with these things.
Right.
Nobody had told me anything.
Right.
So then when I got all the information to my lawyer's office from the prosecuting attorney, he called me into his office and said, hey, and I'm not going to drop any names.
Right.
I'm just going
Right.
to say that there was this friend of my sister who had put these allegations out there that I had raped her.
And why do you think she did that?
Well, I'll get to that part in the story,
Okay.
but I didn't find that out until after I was sentenced and being hauled off to jail.
Okay.
So yeah, not to ruin the surprise, but so, and here's I need to skip around a little bit.
Okay.
Right.
Do what you got to do.
So, like I said, I was going through and I was getting, letters of character
Mhm.
from my pastor at the church.
Mhm.
Even though I hadn't stepped foot in a church since I was 17,
Yeah.
because I was excommunicated. Co-workers that I'd had that were pillars in the community.
Uh-huh.
I had a couple of friends working for City Hall at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people that before I left, I was doing some stuff at the Chamber of Commerce. So, like I said, trying to get my adult life together.
Yeah.
And filling these people in on, hey, this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Can you attest to my character? And without question, each one of these, like college professors that, knew me in the good, bad, and ugly situations that I had spent ridiculous amounts of time with in class, meeting one-on-one, talking about various different things. So I get all of these letters of, character defining who I was. And then I went to my hearing.
Yeah.
So come to find out that my friend's sister had said all of this crazy stuff that I had done.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, Tuscola County had at that time the highest conviction rate for sex offenders.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That was scary.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what I was going to be. That's what I was being called at that point in time, even though there was no sentencing.
Mm-hmm.
There was only allegations.
Yeah.
So my attorney said, well, hey, this is just a formality. This is what we're doing. And, we're going to work up a plea. I had no idea what the hell that was.
Right.
I'm like, plea. Okay, so that means that you guys are doing the legal thing and you're making all of this go away because I didn't do anything, right? I'm free to go back to Las Vegas and live my life. Well, yeah. Just, you more or less say these lines and you'll get probation at best.
Right.
And like I said, I was naive. I didn't know any better. I was clueless. So
I just have one thing from the chat that I wanted to read off to you. Sasha says, I'm listening and got your back, Tony. Much love, hon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sasha.
Yeah.
So in the process of all of this, the day I was going to get sentenced, and this is where it was really hard for me because it hung in the balance. There was no, one, I was innocent.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do anything.
Right.
I had the sister's friend who was saying all of this stuff about me, which may I preface this, and like I said, I'm not going to add any names,
right?
But she had a history of saying the same stuff about my friends.
Okay.
Now, mind you, the age difference between myself and my sister is 3 years. I was 20 at that point in time. She was 17.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody knows that 20, 17, 3 years apart. Doesn't matter when you're like, 30 and 27.
Right.
Okay. But when you're 20 and 17, there's just certain lines that you don't cross. That's the things that I was raised with. It was like, oh, yeah, cool. Hey, I got my band here. We're playing. You guys can hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Much past that, yeah, I got to go. Because, we're rock and rollers. That's what we do.
Right.
But anyways, so the day I got sentenced, I come walking into the courtroom, and I don't know if anybody's ever been at the courthouse, but it's incredibly intimidating.
Oh, it is. Yes.
I, to this day, have reservations of walking into that place
And I don't blame you.
for something that is completely unrelated. So I walked in there, and needless to say, I got an even bigger surprise because my high school youth in government was lined all the way down the back of the courtroom. Kids I went to school with.
Wow.
Now, like I said, they were 3 years younger than me,
Mm-hmm.
but they were still in my sister's class.
Yeah.
They all knew me, and I had a bunch of friends that, we were there, and they come up and they're like, hey, what are you doing here? They're like, why, what's the occasion? And I'm like, well, I'm getting sentenced. And they're like, for what? A speeding ticket or something like that? And I'm like, no, it's a bit more serious than that. So they went back to talk to the teacher after I told them what was going on. And they're like, we got to go because this is not okay. Well, the teacher more or less said, it happens all the time for people that you know. So they're just going to sit here and then listen.
Jeez.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Zero compassion.
Zero compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So amongst my quote unquote peers, the verdict was handed down from Judge Joslin after I was told by my attorney, who was drinking buddies with him,
Mm-hmm.
to take a plea.
Right.
Like I said, I was naive. I didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, cool. You guys are trained professionals.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow what you guys are telling me because this is what you guys do for a living.
Right.
You don't go to a barber to learn how to cook.
No.
You go to a chef.
Mm-hmm.
So the verdict that was handed down was CSE in the 4th degree, which was basically statutory rape. I was sentenced to 6 months in jail and 5 years probation. I did well, let me back up. Sorry. I was cuffed.
Mm-hmm.
Was taken across the street to the jail. And conveniently, they had visiting hours after that. So I was still in the holding cell. So, of course, a lot of my family came over to visit me, and my sister came to visit me.
Mm-hmm.
To which she tells me, and like I said, I'm not going to mention any names, but this girl had stated when I moved out to Las Vegas, now 6 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
well, if I can't have Tony, nobody can.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So pause that for a second. I went through all of this, thinking it was a speeding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Never been in trouble a day in my life. To, 15, 25 to life sentences.
Right.
To now 6 months in jail and 5 years probation. You can only imagine what was going through my head. And then hearing this statement from my sister.
Yeah.
What do you say to that? I had no clue.
Yeah, I would think that you would just stare dumbfoundedly like, I can't believe this did this to me.
Right.
And
Well, that's the thing.
and
Go
it's
ahead.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's so sad because I remember growing up and being around that age when girls were definitely trying to say those kind of things
Yeah.
throughout school. Like I always was
Mhm.
hearing that, and it's like it's gonna come back and bite them eventually, you know. And it's sad. It's sad that I mean, where does that stem from?
Yeah.
Why do you know what in your mind? Why do you think that that's a good idea to say something to that magnitude about somebody?
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not dropping any names. I'm not trying to, defamation of character here, but these are the facts. This is what happened. And what made it even worse is after the fact, I find out even later that she was 15.
Wow.
So,
She was even younger than what you had thought.
well, from what my sister had told me,
Yeah.
like I said, I was 20, my sister was 17.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, yes, you hang out with multiple age groups of people at that point in time.
At that age, yeah.
But generally, you hang out with people that are maybe a year younger, a year older.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know any of this. Completely blindsided by it all.
Mm-hmm.
So, poor representation that got no backlash from it.
Right.
My career that I was going for was teaching was completely over.
Right.
Because there was a whole laundry list of stuff that I couldn't do now that I was on the registry. So fast forward, 97 days later, I got out of jail on good behavior. Mind you, like I said, I was sentenced to 6 months. Did the probation, and one of the recommendations to be reinstituted back into society was to take counseling.
Okay.
Now, this counseling was made up of other people with the same label I was given.
So it was like a group counseling.
Right.
Okay.
It was, officially deemed sex offender counseling.
Okay.
Jeez. Wow.
So, like I said, and we had to do intakes and talk to a counselor and tell them our story. So the counselor that I was seeing at that point in time for my intake was completely just, oh, well, you're in denial. Like, but I didn't do anything.
Right.
Well, you served the time. Obviously, you paid the crime.
So what about evidence?
That was another thing. There was no substantial evidence. And because I took a plea at the advice of my lawyer,
Right.
all of that was tossed out. Well, he's guilty. He's admitting it out of his own mouth.
Wow. And when you're at that age and you're just getting ready to start life, and then
Right.
this kind of thing gets thrown at you, you're terrified, I'm sure.
Oh, that's the part.
So you listen to what they say.
Yeah.
That's the part that I forgot, because I was standing out in the hallway prior to my sentencing and heard in the room when my lawyer was talking to the prosecuting attorney, look, we know the kid didn't do it. Just get him to plea. We'll be in and out of this whole entire case. From my attorney to the prosecuting attorney, we know the kid didn't do it. Just get him to plea so we can get paid and get out of
And
here.
how many times does this happen?
To other people.
The system, I'm not going on a witch hunt here, but the system is so screwed.
And that's the thing is, fast forward, and by the way, that Christmas, well, let me back up. Sorry. Going through this counseling, and yes, I'm doing air quotes. It's kind of like a really bad joke of AA. Not that AA has not helped people.
Right.
But it was basically alcoholics learning how to cheat the system and get away with it because my war story is better than yours and I didn't get caught. To where I'm sitting around the table with these people going, you guys do realize this is completely screwed up, right? Why are you sharing tips and tricks to not get busted? Why am I even here? Because I didn't do anything. So when I brought this up to the counselor, because I believe in integrity, I was told to shut up, sit down, and to finish my
Mind your
therapy.
business.
Right.
Mind your business.
So you're like surrounded by these legit monsters
Right. Oh,
that
yeah.
are out doing these horrible things.
Horrific
Right.
things.
And you are sitting there going, what
What
in
the
the
hell?
hell?
Oh, yeah.
What
That-
realm am I in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Twilight Zone doesn't begin to cover it. And that's when I was like, nope, I'm never having kids, especially daughters. Yeah. Happy Father's Day.
Never say never.
Right. So, anyways, I made it through that 22-week counseling course. Mind you, that Christmas, the woman that raised me, God took her home.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
All throughout what you're going through.
all
and
throughout-
your support.
right. The one person that had my back regardless died on Christmas Eve.
Jeez.
So, and for the next 3.5 years, basically saying how high, when they say jump, after I'm coming back down,
Mhm.
got off 3.5 years of doing probation. Now, there is a light at the end of the tunnel for this story because here I am 22 years later. Loss of friendships,
Mhm.
loss of job opportunities,
Mhm.
loss of relationships, having to make special requests and arrangements to participate at school functions for my children, whether it's plays, band concerts, sporting events, whatever,
Mhm.
dealing with child custody issues.
Mhm.
I've had to deal with CPS just in the past 9 years. 69 different times.
Wow.
Mhm.
And I've been around for a lot of those. Well, not a lot of them, but some of them, I should
Some of
say.
them.
Oh, but wait, the story gets better. After all of that, I have to be on the registry for 25 years. I'm 22 years in.
Mhm.
I've held my head up high, regardless of people's opinion, that know the full story,
Mhm.
that know my integrity of character. I am very upfront and open with anybody who I have inner workings with, or I have a professional relationship with. My close personal friends know all of this story because I believe in integrity.
Mhm.
And that was one of my apprehensions coming into all of this, is I legitimately don't care what happens to me.
Mhm.
I care about whether, one, I'm basically committing career suicide for all of us. But in the same token, I'm done hiding. I'm done being scared.
But to be honest though, Tony, in the time that you and I have been friends, one of the first things in one of our first conversations that we had is you came out and you told me right away, if you were this monster that they have said that you were, first and foremost, you would not come out and just be like,
Hey,
Hey,
this happened.
this happened. I want you to know, because if you find out on your own, I don't want you to feel like I lied or I kept it from you. You've always been straightforward and upfront.
Right.
And in the beginning, one of my very first things in entering our friendship was knowing that not only because you were upfront and forward with me, I never really ever had that feeling that you were a monster like that.
Mhm.
I also know that seeing you with your children, you're not a monster.
Thank you. Well, and that's the thing. I know I said custody, but I've had, with my youngest daughter, I've had full custody of her for, 15 years. My older two, I had to fight in and out of court, but I had full custody of both of them for the past 9 years. And they went through some things, and, having to navigate that as a single parent is not easy.
No.
But in the same token, you look at the paperworks and they don't line up. How does a quote unquote sexual predator on paper labeled as that
Mhm.
get full custody of his children?
And that was one of my very first thoughts. Is like, if you are that person,
Right.
there's no way that they would let you have your children.
Exactly.
You know, and I've met people that are dark and twisted like that have done those
Mhm.
things. And I know, like I said, deep in my heart that I knew when I met you, I never got that vibe off of you. I've never seen you but anything but kind to people
Yeah.
and try to take them in and help them with what they got going, going on. And seeing you with your children and the way that you act with them and how much you love them, you do prayers with them every night.
Yes.
One of the biggest things that I ever noticed when you were talking to them is you say to them, what are you? And for
Right.
the girls, what do they say?
I'm a smart, beautiful lady.
And your son?
I'm a smart, handsome young man.
And he does this every single night, to empower them. And these kids have witnessed, because of this incident, they have watched, the cops come in at school functions and different things and escort you out to, this is going and saying, well, what are you doing here? Well, you already had cleared it with everybody. And
Right.
they knew when you were there.
Yeah,
You were never there.
superintendents.
You just wanted to be there to support your children through
Right.
their band
Yeah.
concerts and every different thing, And I've had people say, oh, I see that he's on the registry. Well, I said, ask Tony himself. He'll
Yeah.
Right.
tell you the story.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like you don't hide it. If you were really this person that
Right.
is such a bad person and that you did this, you would be hiding it and you wouldn't want nobody to know. I can't imagine coming out of the gate telling everybody that you meet this story, that it's
not easy, and that's
it's not. I can't even imagine.
That's the thing is, like I said, to go back to, this friend of my sister's, I bear her no ill will.
Right.
I've forgiven her for completely destroying my character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And moving forward, because I look at it this way, my children are my top priority in all of this.
Yeah.
It's not about what I go through, it's about what they don't, because I've given them the tools to be a better adult than I ever was.
And I mean, they absolutely love you and adore you. And anytime that I've ever witnessed any of this stuff happen, and they're just like, I don't understand, Dad. You're a good guy. You're a good man.
Right.
And there's a couple messages that are coming in, Tony. One says, love you, Tony. Admire your courage for sharing your story with all of us.
Mm-hmm. And then Christina Mitchell in chat says, you are an amazing person, Tony. We love you. It's very sad that the system is so broken that you are in the position. I know others that this has happened to. It's scary.
And I do too.
Yeah.
I have met several different people actually that this has happened to. And so what I would like to say, because of growing up and hearing these different things from girls, please be careful what you say. And guys,
yes,
please be careful with your words. If it didn't happen, please don't put somebody in this position, because as you hear here, Tony's got 3 more years before he's actually off of that registry. And that's 25 years.
Yeah.
If it really didn't happen, we need to be careful with what we're saying and what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if it really did happen, then yes, please go.
Right. Speak out.
Out. But if it hasn't, you have to be careful with what you're doing, because that's somebody else's life that you're playing with.
Exactly. So what advice would you give to somebody who has sat in your position or is currently sitting in your position, falsely accused, didn't do it, but the system is failing them?
Well, I mean, I would say get a better lawyer.
Yeah.
But I look back, and not that I can say I'm happy about this happening to me, but in the same token, it's definitely kept at the forefront of, regardless of what anybody else was saying. Because I tell my son all the time, look, you have to stand sometimes, even if you have to stand alone when no one else believes you, because that's what you do as a man.
Mm-hmm.
If you're innocent, stand on it. If you're telling the truth, no one else is believing you, stand on it. Sometimes you have to stand alone. And you don't know how you do it. I mean, hell, most days I wake up and I go, Great, another mental and emotional breakdown day. How do I get through this? Because I have to adult, I have to father, I have to be a loving and devoted friend. I have to, you know, move forward with my career. I have to bust out these next 4 life coaching classes that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
If I can help just one person, regardless of what I've gone through, regardless of who gave me their opinion when I didn't want it,
Right.
all of that is worth it because I've been able to help one person. And it's not easy.
Yeah, I know going into this that, it wasn't going to be an easy conversation for you. And Becky and I both thank you
Yeah.
for coming on the show and having the courage to share this story, because there's people out there just like you that were
Mhm.
put in, the system wrongfully. And every year you have to go and register.
Every 6 months.
Oh, every 6 months you have to go and register. And, even when I first started hanging out and, becoming your friend,
Mhm.
It was scary to be here with you when the cops come banging on the door to make sure that that's where you were.
Right.
And, to sit there and question and be like, hey, Tony, why do they show up? Why are they here?
Yeah.
I mean, they really do make you feel like you wear that. You really do wear that everywhere you go. And, being a friend of yours for almost 5 years, I mean, when I was going through cancer and everything, Tony invited me into his house.
Yeah.
His family invited me into their home,
Mhm.
not even knowing me, but a week, 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah. My
And,
brother.
they offered me a place because I was going through cancer. My mom was sick. My family was everywhere else, and I was on my own. And to just not even know me and bring me in like that, like,
Mhm.
I never ever felt any ill will or anything about you other than being a good person. And I've watched you do this over and over with several people. I mean, one of our friends, not to mention any names, was homeless.
Yeah.
And you're like, come, I've got a couch, I've got a shower, I've got food. I mean,
I was going to say, and I've witnessed anytime somebody knocks at the door, question, Tony.
Yeah.
First thing he says, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you
Second
hungry?
thing, are you hungry? Do you
Yeah.
need to do laundry? You just
yeah.
need a place to stay and rest for a bit?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yep. And it's amazing to see you as that person after all of these years of having to go through what you've gone through.
Well, and that's the thing is, like I said, it's not about what I go through. Yeah, it sucks. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you're there at a parent teacher conference.
Yeah.
And, you are waiting in line to see the next teacher. And there's 4 cops that are walking down the hallway.
Yeah.
Your pulse gets a little quicker, you start sweating, and then they walk up to you,
Mm-hmm.
In front of everybody.
In
slap
front of
some
everybody.
handcuffs on you, and escort you right past back everybody else.
Yeah. Or when you're trying to do an event for Relay for Life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're up there. He's supporting me. He's supporting his godson, Matthias.
Yeah.
And you're supporting your mother, who's also a survivor. And we're trying to do everything we can to
Yeah.
help and put it forward. And here they come in because
Yeah.
we're at the tech center.
Mhm.
And school's not even going on. And yet
Right.
they're pulling him out in front of everybody. And everybody's looking at me. That's your friend.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is my friend. You got questions?
Mind
Ask
you,
him.
after going through all of the
Mhm.
proper channels of talking to the principal, talking to who was it, the event coordinator from the school,
Yeah.
of, hey guys, I know this is your standards and practices. How do I abide by these so everyone that needs to know knows,
Mm-hmm.
for your safety and protection and for mine? And nope. Right in the middle of the event, cops walk in. Hey, you're coming with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what did I do? You just need to step outside.
Yeah.
So, and this is an every year thing, sometimes every 6 months.
Yeah.
I will literally be minding my own business, showing support for a cause,
Mm-hmm.
or at a school with my children supporting their event.
And here they come.
Right.
Mhm.
And watching that happen in front of, the kids and in front of everybody, like I don't know how you continue to keep moving forward. Honestly, I mean, other than for the fact that you have these kids.
Honestly, I think that's probably the only way that I am able to do it, because it destroys me. Straight up hands me my butt and go, how can I show my face in public again? Because I'm this monster that the law wants nothing to do with. Society wants nothing to do with. Some friends, quote unquote, want nothing to do with. Relationships, that's completely out of the question. So but that's the thing. Regardless of what happens, you still have to move forward. It's not easy. Believe me, most days I wish I could stay in my bed with covers pulled up over my head and go, nope, I'm not adulting today.
Yeah.
But when you have people that you are responsible for, my children, my children have gotten me through some incredibly dark times.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't have a father, how were they going to make it?
Mm-hmm.
I knew what it was like growing up without a father. I was not putting my children through that.
Right. And you haven't. You've been such a loving, supporting dad, and it's
Mm-hmm.
been an honor to be a part of that, the past 5 years, to be able to watch these kids grow up.
Yeah.
And, and watch you be their dad and love on them, and just be moving forward no matter what they tried to label you as. And Jeremy Scott Gibbs says, one of the biggest hearts I'm honored to know.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think we're all feeling that way.
Honestly,
every
for
single
sure.
person in this room right now is honored to know you.
I mean, I
Thank you.
I know that this episode was not going to be an easy one for
No.
you. And like I said, Becky and I are grateful that you are joining us tonight.
Yes.
And, this could happen to any of us. It
Yeah.
could happen to any
Right.
of us. And it is very scary. Like Christina said, I mean, it is beyond
Yeah.
scary.
I was going to say, and what really bites is, people who are true monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nothing happens to them.
That is the worst
It is.
thing. And, we need to definitely stand up and change this.
Yeah, the justice system needs.
If you're out there and you have a similar story to what Tony is telling you, or you know somebody that has a similar story to this that was wrongfully accused, share this, because they need to know that they're not alone and not to give up, even though they've been deemed this by society.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the biggest struggle, I mean, I know I probably sound like a broken record going back to this, but I legitimately don't care what I have to go through.
Yeah.
Just so my kids don't have to go through it, my friends, my tribe.
Mm-hmm.
If they and I'm not being a martyr, please don't. I mean, any of the listeners, any of the people in the studio audience here, I'm so not a martyr. But if I have to take a bullet for someone else in my tribe so they don't have to, and I know that's the definition of a martyr, I will. So I know that my tribe will be okay. My children will be okay. Because that, it's what you do. You look out for your family, you look out for your tribe, you look out for your children.
Mm-hmm.
So when they become adults, they go, wow, so I don't hate my parents. I had an okay life. I dealt with some stuff.
Right.
But, my dad did the best he could. And, it's a challenge when they see that. And, I guess that one of the testaments of my character is my son sees that regardless of what I go through, I still stand up. And most days I can't stand. But I'm standing there and I'm going, hey, it's not easy, but you do. And, I've been having a lot of great conversations with him lately. And, I said, look, I don't know what I'm doing most days. I just do. And, he gets it. He's 17. And, he's one of those kids that have had his own growing up issues.
Growing pains.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But, I love them to pieces. Same thing with my daughters. My kids are my world. So if I can show them, regardless of what happens to me, that life is what you make it, regardless of what's stacked against you, regardless what label you're wearing. Life is what you make it. So go make it amazing.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I was going to say.
So, and I think on
I was going
that,
to say, and I have to share with everyone one thing that you say all the time about your children. They are so much better than you.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's because they have you.
yeah.
Well, thank you for that. That's an incredibly humbling statement.
So I
Yeah.
you know,
Is it time?
it is unfortunately we actually went past, and that's okay because we definitely wanted to get the story
we
out.
went past because we started late as well.
We
so.
did too. That's
Technical
correct.
difficulties, and we are sorry about that.
But we're here. We
We
are
are
able
here,
to do the story,
yes.
and we thank you so much for
Yes,
joining us,
thank you
Tony.
for joining us.
It's-
We know it wasn't easy.
It's an honor to come on your guys' show and being a huge supporter of the show from day one, not realizing I was going to be put in the hot seat.
Mhm.
Well, you kind of brought that on yourself, self-fulfilling prophecy and all.
Well, no, seriously though, thank you guys. And anybody that hears any of these stories, just know that you're not alone.
You're not alone.
Yeah, you are not alone, and that's the reason why we're here. So, please continue to share, like, subscribe, and do all that fun stuff. We've
Ring
got all
that
kinds
notification bell.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of social media pages and whatnot. So please go check them out.
Come join us. Come join us at the Leading Ladies Festival, Music Festival
we're gonna be
on
there.
the 23rd from 1 to 8.
Yep, come hang out with us, and you don't want to miss it. It's for a good cause,
Yes.
and we'd love to see you guys. We'll have a booth set up, so please
Yes.
stop in. Come share your
Yes.
story with us.
And not only will we have a booth, we'll be raffling off some really cool things.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
We will definitely be doing that. So don't forget that. That is June 23rd. Doors open up at
1 o'clock.
That's what I thought.
1 p.m.
All right. So on that note,
be better, not bitter.
And remember, guys, life is always best lived.